Hey guys, John Loxley here, back with our playthrough of Dungeon Siege 3. We are now in the Grand Chapterhouse. Alright. Quest says go this way. I will check the other directions first. And I believe this is the way out. So I listened to a little bit of... Locked, huh? Of one of my previous episodes of Subnautica. Someone, I think, like, episode 2 or 3 was... I ended up finding a time capsule, and so I was like, hey, time capsule! And someone, you know, made a comment and put the little time code of where the actual time capsule was found. Let's see. This bookshelf contains hundreds of ancient Legion texts. 4 books appear to be missing from the shelf. Interesting, so we're gonna have to do that again. Man, hang on a sec. Oh, started yawning as soon as I started recording. That's no good. Alright, Maul of Vigor. Let's check that out. But anyway, back to the, agility, attack, will, momentum. No, because it has Chaos Withering and Chaos Poison, so it's fine. But I sound, like, in that episode, I sound, well, tired, to be quite honest, which I generally am, unfortunately. But, you know, it's just something, I need to listen to one of these episodes, because how I sound is different than how I sound. How I sound to myself is different than how I sound when I'm recording. Like, I think these might have a little bit more energy, but I did a video last night talking about the, you know, the letter to creators that just came out, and, rewatching it, I sound low energy, which is not really great. It's not great. I mean, it's okay, but I prefer to sound a little bit...
It was a long time ago, but I wonder if anyone survived the attack on this place.
I don't think so, but you never know. But I just want to sound like I'm, you know, a little bit more energetic. This skeletal corpse appears to be a legionnaire. He was probably killed when Jane Cassandra and her mob stormed the chapter house, and he has been lying here ever since. So, yeah, more energy. I'll just have to review one of these and see if I sound a little bit different. Problem is, I just don't really sleep very well. Okay, so now I believe these guys come back. Oh, yep, they're back up. Oh, that's... Wait, what happened there? Wait, what is going on? Is that me? Wait, I thought I was supposed to... Creates a decoy. Okay, I thought it was like a teleport move. Ouch. Well...
They're repairing themselves. Our weapons are not strong enough to kill them.
I believe there's a switch or something somewhere. That's not this, right? Legion Scroll. The 10th Legion was founded upon 4 principal pillars. Vigilant defense, reconciliation with our foes, allegiance to the crown, and fair judgment. Just as these 4 pillars uphold our legion, so do the 4 books guard this chapter house. If the books are not in place, the inner sanctum will be closed, and the guardians will slay those who trespass on our sacred ground. Okay, so that seemed to stop the gates, but also it seemed to stop the attackers. And they just disappeared. So we have new objectives. Find the books. Unfortunately, we're searching the bodies of the dead legionnaires. And we're just kind of looking around here. Just to make sure we didn't forget anything. Check the bookshelves. No. All right. Now let's run back to... Obviously, it's to go that way. Oh, hey, Manny. Let's see. Find the Book of Vigilant Defense. According to the scroll you found, the book must be found and returned to its place, or you cannot reclaim the chapter house. It must be somewhere on the lower level of the Grand Chapterhouse. And that's basically what it says, right? So, Vigilant Defense, Book of Allegiance, Book of Fair Judgment, Book of Reconciliation. But let's pull up that lore entry again, if I can find it. Full Fire Stones. I probably am not going to be able to find it. No. Well. Maybe I missed it. That's entirely possible. Legion, lore, the causeways, nope. Birth of the Legion. Okay, well, anyway. Anyway, we're gonna run back up this way. Right, so we can see quest markers. Oh, yep. And the door is shut. So there you go. You're trapped unless you can get the 4 books, apparently. It's a one-way. So that's kind of important, what it said about the 4. Can I go in here? No, I can't.
You are finished.
So the first thing we gotta do is basically...
I'm taking hits.
Yeah, I know. I know you are. Oh, interesting. So that's how it works. It's kind of a... This switch opens the door.
My fires are feathering up.
Your fires are what? And it doesn't look like the decoy is actually doing damage. Companions reviving. Your companion has fallen in battle. They will recover at the end of the battle. If you want them to get up more quickly, you can stand near them and hold RB. Wow, this is the first time Anjali's fallen. You can revive them. Where is she? She is over there. Let's just do this. Lore gained, Pillars of the Legion, Book 1. So we're going to have to look that up. Okay, she is back up. Let's, you know what? Let's check the lore first. Legion, no. Pillars of the Legion, right, okay. Pillars of the Legion, Book 1. The first principle of the Legion is vigilant defense. First and foremost, the 10th Legion is the defender of Ebb and its people. We are the solid, unyielding core that holds the nation together. Legionnaires are not mercenaries. We secure the trust of Ebb's people through selfless and tireless service. When our enemies marched against Ebb during the War of Legions, we rose out to meet them, and we kept the people safe. When the sect rose up and took control of our cities and towns, we vanquished them and imprisoned the last of their race in the Vault of Eternity. And when our enemies set them free, we fought their armies of beasts, and we slew their demigod king. As long as the bloodline of the Legion survives, we will protect our people and we will trade our blood for theirs if need be. So they're kind of like paladins. But kind of early in the playthrough, I talked about the Civil War, the American Civil War, and how it... stuff like, you know, the healing of a nation and that sort of thing. And it's basically these principles. You can't heal a nation if you tear it down. You know, the whole thing about after World War I was the US and other forces wanted to punish Germany. And that's essentially what created Hitler, more or less. You know, people will, you know, some historians disagree, but, you know, you create what's the alternative? Let the people die? Let everything just fall apart? I don't know. You have to let the nation heal. You know, take Japan. We occupied Japan, and it was essentially because of we traded our military force for theirs, right? So we protected them and kind of imprisoned them, but that was what led them to become such a technological powerhouse, was because they weren't allowed to have a military because we would act as theirs, sort of. And now they dominate in technology. So, something to think about. Alright, there's where we're supposed to go. And another place we're supposed to go. Meanwhile, these things are... Find the Book of Allegiance that kills all these guys. Pillars of the Legion, Book 3. So we haven't finished this area, obviously, because we're still getting attacked. Let's see, is that it? I don't know, I mean, I'm sure I'm oversimplifying things. But you gotta heal. You know, countries have to heal just like people do. Okay, find the Book of Fair Judgment. Pillars of the Legion, Book 2. Okay, any... Hey, Fire Jackal. So now all this stuff out here is a bit calmer, because, well... I mean, obviously, right? You took both books, all the enemies are toast. So before we go through here and potentially grab the last book... Lore... And Pillars of the Legion, Book 2. Second principle is fair judgment. So remember, the first principle is vigilant defense. Kind of important. If you're playing the game, it's important to remember this, not only for the near future, but also for the long term. It affects an immediate, you know, it affects the quest that we're doing, and it also affects the endings, depending on how you act. Whether you act within the tenets of the Legion or not. So first, vigilant defense, fair judgment. In the days of the old empire, justice was another word for the whims of the powerful. He who had the most horsemen, or the wisest magicians, or the cleverest assassins determined what was proper and what was just. That's kind of how most societies today seem to work. But in the kingdom of Ebb, all are equal before the law, and the chapter houses of the Legion are sacrosanct. No violence is permitted within their walls. Citizens may bring their disputes to the Legion authorities and be confident that our judgments are fair and our leaders are incorruptible. Fugitives may take shelter in our midst, and we will protect them. Any legionnaire who proves unworthy of the people's trust will be expelled from the Legion and from Ebb. Yep, so they're basically paladins. They're not called paladins because paladins are religious knights or knights that serve a particular god. These don't. They're just knights, right? Okay, so third principle of the Legion is allegiance to the crown. In the days of the Old Empire, the 10th Legion was absolutely loyal to the sovereign. Indeed, we were called the Emperor's Legion, and we were the only legion trusted to bear arms within the limits of the Imperial City. We carried this tradition to the Kingdom of Ebb, which we founded by our own hands. When the nation was first established, the people elected a king, and we pledged our loyalty to him and his descendants. The day that oath is broken will be the day the Legion falls. Remember, rumors have it that the Legion tried to overthrow the king. Whether there's any truth to those rumors or not remains to be seen. It will get answered. That is a question that will get answered. Alright. Boom. Punch the table. Alright, so, more stuff. The book is kind of at that end. Use a little bit of healing. Because these guys... Oh, hey, that hurt. That hurt a lot. Fire is not good. Oh, that's the wrong thing to do. I was trying to use Geometry of Destruction or whatever. Or Annihilation or... You know, whichever one that is. Ouch! Can I... I'm gonna use another healing thing. I don't know if... I mean, they don't stack. Okay. Find the Book of Reconciliation. Yeah, we were hurting. I was taking some serious damage, so I'm like, you know what, let's do that. Restore the books to their shelf. Yep, there's the jackal. Oh, is it toast? Ah, well. So right before I started playing, I ate some, questionable ham, shall we say. It was some deli meat that's been sitting in the fridge for a while. I think it's probably fine. Like, it didn't smell bad, but it was... It might be on its last legs, let's put it that way. It might upset my stomach, it might make me regret it tomorrow. But, I think it's ultimately not poisonous, let's put it that way. Oh, right. There's a book right there. Let's get the last bit of lore. Pillars of the Legion, Book 4. So it was Vigilant Defense, Fair Judgment, Allegiance to the Crown, Reconciliation. Our Legion was founded centuries ago to bring peace to a warring and divided empire. The Imperial throne had been usurped by the commander of the Third Legion. The Emperor had been slain, and the Heartland was ravaged by a barbarian horde. But when we emerged victorious, we convinced our allies to pardon our former enemies. We reconciled with the men and women of the Third Legion on the condition that they help us rebuild, and the Empire was made strong once again. Throughout our history, we have been peacemakers, and vengeance is not our way. When our enemies are at our mercy, we offer them a chance to relent. If they refuse, our justice is firm but fair. So, they're not fools. Right? They're basically like, do you yield? You know, it's... They're extending trust. They're like, hey, we beat you. We could keep going, but, you know, are you going to be trustworthy? And that's kind of the thing, right? So, you help your enemies rebuild. That way you make allies of your enemies. Once they're beaten... Once they admit defeat. That's kind of the key, because a lot of people they'll be sneaky, right? They'll be like, yes, we admit defeat. But they won't. but they won't actually, you know. So you got to be careful. Some people will only, you know, they'll only admit defeat when your boot is on their neck, and even then you'll still have to watch it. And it's like, if they refuse, our justice is firm but fair. So there you go. They're not fools. They understand, but they don't have to be gracious. That's the thing. In the year... Oh, Laura gained... Oh, that's... Yeah, right. I thought it was another deed. In the year 1154, King Conrad signed a treaty with the goblins, granting them rights as citizens of Ebb. Most cities and towns immediately passed laws to prevent any goblins from settling in their midst. But in Stonebridge, Mayor Rupert Ketzler sensed an opportunity. Ketzler knew the goblins were rich, so he invited them to settle in his city. Goblins poured into Stonebridge, spending their gold and buying up properties. Some of the people were angry at first, until they realized that the goblins' wealth could make them rich too. What followed was a golden age, as the humans adopted goblin technology and the Collegium was established to educate humans and goblins alike. Probably the most famous figure of the age was the legendary goblin Brimfellow, who single-handedly doubled the number of patents on file in the contract's office. By the time Mayor Ketzler died, having bought himself a noble title, not to mention the biggest mayor in town, and was succeeded in office by his son, Stonebridge had become the richest city in Ebb. Many humans were now wealthy merchants, exporting the products of goblin inventions to Glaciern, Bisselberg, and beyond. Smart. Smat. Punch that wood. Punch it good. That rhymed. Terrible, I know. Alright, Heater Shield, Amplodine of Brutality. And our stuff turned off, so now we are... And that door just decided to open on its own. Here we go, another... According to the oldest stories, Archons were spirits of fire shaped by the creator gods. You know, I noticed they didn't show me a lore thing at the bottom of the screen. We've gotten this one before. But I'll still read it. Serve the old gods as messengers and heralds, communing with mortals on the gods' behalf. The tales describe them as female, usually bearing a staff or spear with eyes of brilliant flame. At the dawn of the First Age, the creator gods tumbled from the heavens, but the Archons seem to have outlived their masters, if the old accounts can be believed. They were said to wander the divine and mortal realms, seeking their lost gods. Ancient stories describe meetings between Archons and humans, in which an Archon helps a human right a wrong or passes judgment upon a human for a particularly wicked act. In a few rare stories, an Archon falls in love with a human male, but those stories almost never end well. Really? So where did Anjali come from, anyway? Right? She was a baby. Yep. Anyway, I'm sure that's not relevant. The Stellar Emperors revered the Archons, viewing them as god ancestors of the imperial line. Empress Aensha, who united the Ilion tribes and founded the Empire of Stars, was believed to be the offspring of an Archon and a tribal chief. All the later emperors claimed descent from her, and thus from an Archon as well. Well, of course. Lore gained, Archons, Legend or Truth. Wait, we have read that one before. Or maybe I'm just remembering having read it in a previous game. I don't know. Either way, we're gonna save. Right on. Oh yeah. Let's. We got some new equipment. Swift Tesseract. Yeah, agility's up, but not worth it. Okay, tell me about all the different trousers. Vengeful, Stamina and Retribution. Armor down, block down. No one gives a shit about block. That's not true. I'm sure it's actually useful. I just never do. Fierce trousers, stamina, and attack. See, that's actually decent, though. It'll be fine. Amplodine of Brutality, Doom is up. So that's, helps with your critical hits. Agility is up. See, I think my energy level, right now, is fine. It's, I don't think I sound what's the word that I'm looking for? Monotone or tired or anything. I don't think. Maybe I do, but I think it's probably okay. Agility, will, warding is up. It's fine. I'll just keep this. Okay, tell me about Spear of Quickness. Yeah. Spear Staff. Sallet of Valor. Agility down, stamina up, block down, momentum up. I'm still going to keep the Swift one. Anyway.
Look, a causeway gate, just as Odo said. Now we can bring the others here.
And it's open already.
Strange. These causeways have a quiet beauty to my eyes.
Anjali, take the causeway back to Rukenval. Tell Odo and Martin that we've reclaimed the Chapterhouse and bring them back here.
In the old Legion, the role of Herald was an honor, especially when the news was good. I'll go at once, and I'll guide them safely back.
This place, it doesn't change so much.
We heard rumors of a battle in the swamp. Royalists against Jane Cassinda. What news? You weren't caught up in any trouble, I hope.
Oh, that's good. I'm drinking a little bit of Viking blood right now. So good. I might have one glass left in the bottle after this one. I can't tell because it's like painted ceramic. The bottle's also super heavy, so I try and shake it to figure out how much is in it, but it's still heavy. It's like lifting a rock. Oh, but that is good. So we have two options. I'm at the Royalists, or the basement was blah 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 blah. Was full of traps. I'm gonna say I'm at the Royalists. I don't know if either matters.
The rumors of a battle were true. Most of the Royal Army are dead, but we met their general, a man called Devonsey.
Devonsey? You're sure that was his name?
30 years ago, Finn Devonsey was one of us. Master of the Legion Chapterhouse in Glacier. And he called himself by a different name. A Legion name.
Remember, Anjali said something about she knows that name. Devonsey.
He called himself by another name? What was it?
Bohemond. An old and respectable name. He wasn't born to the Legion, so he took the name after he joined. My father knew him. Spoke well of him.
When the Legion was accused of murdering the king, Devonsey renounced his vows and quit the Legion. Insisted that the charges were true. Stubborn man, strong conscience. Best tactical mind in the Legion, too.
Maybe he knows. Maybe he knows the truth. Or maybe he doesn't. So I can choose he abandoned us, or we should recruit him. I don't think that's a great option. Being negative never seems to do well in this. It's always like, be a paladin. Those are the best choices, it seems. Right? Falls with the 4 pillars of the Legion. So, let's say we should recruit him.
Devonsey has Legion blood. He might be willing to join us.
He might speak on our behalf at least. Convince the Queen that we can be trusted. If we seal an alliance with the Royal Court, we prove that Ebb has a future. People would rally behind us. Last I heard, the Queen had retreated to the Glitterdelve mine.
That's where Jane will be going, too. If she gets her hands on the Queen, our war is lost.
Yeah, we do need allies as well. And so does the Queen, as a matter of fact. Especially if her whole army is gone. Like, we don't have one either. So, sounds like a place to start. Presumably is the last one. How do I find her? Also might be. Let's ask the Queen.
Devonsey mentioned the Queen more than once. What's her name?
Rosalind. She'd be, what, 17 years old by now? Last of the royal line. Jane Cassinda would like nothing better than to capture the girl. With Rosalind caught or dead, resistance dries up and Stonebridge stands alone.
Right, so it seems like in this civil war, not everyone is behind Cassinda. Jane Cassinda. Stonebridge also.
How do we know that the Royalists will talk to us?
We don't. They probably still believe that the Legion murdered the old king.
Odo's right. They may be wary of us, but we have truth on our side.
What's the fastest road to Glitterdelve?
Glitterdelve Mine is a long march from here, many days on foot. Take the causeway instead. The Legion had an outpost not far from the mines. Must have been a causeway there, too, and I doubt the gate was ever sealed.
We'll try to find the Royal Court then. Is there anyone else who might join us?
The Meisters, the merchant lords of Stonebridge. They'd be powerful friends.
Friends? These people believe Jane's lies. They murdered our brothers and sisters. No reason to think they'll embrace us now.
No reason to think they won't, if we show ourselves worthy of trust. At least the Meisters could tell us if any Legionnaires survived.
It's true. I love these two. Like, Odo's, older and jaded and a bit more cynical and negative. And Martin's, he's middle-aged. He's got some gray in his beard, but also he's a bit more idealist, positive, optimistic. They work really well as like a foil to each other. It's really great.
So the Meisters govern Stonebridge. Are they nobility?
Nobility? Far from it. They're the richest men in the city. Merchants, bankers, bureaucrats. Stonebridge calls itself a republic now. Ever since the old king died, and the people drove out the last Lord Mayor.
Any idea where I can find the Meisters?
Probably at the old mayoral office, on the main square. I'm told it was converted into a great public hall where the Meisters hold court.
So now I have to choose. I'll do both eventually, and I don't think it matters which way I go first. I also don't think I think we get both quests regardless of which one I pick. The problem is both of these are true. The Meisters are stronger, but the Queen is more important. So I will probably... I'm going to say the Queen's more important, but I think I'm going to make a little side trip to the Meister's area and see if I can pick up the fourth party member.
Jane is probably besieging the mines by now. The Meisters can wait.
I agree. And if Jane is at Glitterdelve, we may have a chance to kill her and finally end the war.
Up to you. Martin and I will trust in your decision, and we'll be here if you need us.
And we got a influence gain, which is awesome. Alright, so let's, before we do that, majority rules, travel to Glitterdelve. We'll head there first. Man.
I'll talk to some old family friends. Spread the word that the Legion's returned.
Wasn't so quiet last time I was here. Legionnaires, petitioners, so much noise.
Right, well. Influence gain is a real pain in the ass. I believe there's an achievement for maxing out all your companions' influence. And I'm not sure if it's... like, maybe I've messed it up already. I don't know. Ebb was colonized by settlers from the Empire of Stars, so most of its human citizens are descended from the two ethnic groups that formed the core of the old Empire, the Ilion and the Versk. I feel like I've read this also. The sovereigns of the Empire were of Ilion descent, as were most of the original founders of the 10th Legion. The oldest, most distinguished Legion families are almost exclusively Ilion. Their traditional culture values both intellectual and martial pursuits, while eschewing most manual labor except for farming. Old Ilion families have names like Montmercy or Guiscard, and some reference place names like Dumarnay or Dublanc. The Versk, on the other hand, are renowned as craftsmen and artisans. Occupations and their secrets tend to be passed from one generation of a family to the next. so that particular lineages are known as supremely talented shipbuilders, sculptors, goldsmiths, and the like. Old Versk families continue to reside in Stonebridge and in the southern port of Bisselberg. They have names like Grimmelhaus, Meisterzun, and Kessler, and their ancient language can be still heard in archaic words like Dakenware, Beast King, or Rukenval, Vale of Ravens. Peoples of Ebb. The so-called burgs of the coast, hang on, what's the time? Okay, we're good, are a collection of towns that lie south and east of Castle Ebb. Originally settled by Versk mariners who sailed down Ebb's eastern coast in imperial days, the burgs are more cosmopolitan than the Rukenval or the farmlands of the west. For centuries, they carried on a brisk monsoon trade with the dryads of Graelyn Isle and the goblins of Gonseer. Largest and oldest of the burgs is Bisselberg, formerly the holy seat of the Asnite Church before Jane Cassinder built her spire. Youngest of the towns is Drakenberg, which sprang up at the edge of the Dragon's Wrath after the death of Old Scorch. Drakenberg has achieved great wealth by exploiting the previously untouched mineral wealth of the Wrath, and it has a considerable population of goblins. The burgs provide most of Jane Cassinder's manpower, including priests and lay soldiers. These towns are heavily under Asnite sway, and the populations are generally zealous in their faith. The towns of the east. Oh, that was a weird camera zoom in. And at least we get some little bit extra treasure. Sabatons. It's the foot. The caverns of Glitterdelve were first described in the journals of the famous imperial cartographers Fedware and Klars after the founding of Ebb. Man, I'm tired. I'm sorry. Dwarves migrated to this region, and they extended the natural caverns into a vast network of mining tunnels, discovering iron, coal, precious metals, and gems. The wealth of Glitterdelve financed the growth of the early kingdom and transformed the city of Stonebridge, which lay downriver from the mines, into a major trading hub. In the middle of the 10th century, the miners dug deep enough to unleash explosive vapors which rapidly accumulated in the tunnels, causing the Great Blast of 943. Hundreds of miners were killed, and most of the existing tunnels and caverns collapsed. The legend of Gold Sniffer Maggs, the pack mule who saved the lives of several trapped miners, dates from this event. Following the Great Blast, the dwarves were forced to dig all their tunnels anew, and in so doing they reinvented the art of mining. Dwarven geomancers built a vast magical system, the Stone Stream, to regulate the flow of water and air through the mines, preventing the buildup of explosive gas. This system is still in place today. I like the lore. Long ago, the Legion established the Crypts of the Sacred Blood as the most honored burial site in Ebb. Kings and queens were laid to rest alongside the Legion heroes and martyrs of the Asnite faith. Perhaps inevitably, wealthy commoners wanted to be buried in this hallowed ground as well. They paid for the privilege to establish their own family tombs, connected to the growing underground complex. After the Sec resurgence, this practice became more and more commonplace, until the crypts had become a vast underground labyrinth stretching throughout the southern farmlands, and no one knew all its twistings and turnings. In time, the crypts were extended beneath the town of Stonebridge, stopping only when they finally met the Great Foundry. Wealthy citizens of Stonebridge still entombed their dead in the crypts, expanding the tunnels in new directions when they ran out of space. Officially, the crypts are maintained by no one, so all manner of vermin and undesirables can be found within. Many tunnels have collapsed, and some sections are now cut off from the rest. Crypts of the Sacred Blood. Robes of Vitality. Okay, who are you? Oswald. Notice he has the blue exclamation mark over his head. You can start the downloadable content at the Grand Chapterhouse in Stonebridge after you've reclaimed the Chapterhouse for the Legion. Talk to Oswald, who will be waiting for you in the entrance hall. You'll find an alternative entrance to the DLC in the Causeway Hub after you've completed the Spire. If you've already passed that point in the game, you can return from the Causeway Hub by loading endgame autosave from your save game list. Okay, so he will take us to the DLC, I believe. I don't necessarily know that we want to do that just yet. Tell me about the Robes of Vitality. Agility down, armor down, block, stamina up. Well, that's too bad. Steadfast Circuit. Sabaton. Stamina up, Agility and armor down and block. Okay, so screw that stuff. And we'll just save over this one. Yes. Alright, we have a little bit more time. So we will run this way. Wealthy.
30 years and they still haven't caught the dapper old gent. We all live in fear of him.
Wow, dapper old gent's been doing what he does for 30 years, huh? Basically, everything that they talk about in the game, we're going to experience. Every lore thing.
Please do not litter or excrete in alleyways.
You know, people think that's funny, and yet...
Please do not litter or excrete in alleyways.
You go to Mexico. I think my mom and my little sister went, and they said they were there and they saw people coming out of church wearing like these really fancy suits, like their best clothes and stuff, and they would just walk to the side of the road and like piss all over the place, and I don't know if they excreted, you know, pooped or whatever, but maybe.
Did you hear? The foundry's gone silent, and no one knows why.
I bet someone knows.
Please do not litter or excrete in alleyways.
So this is just a loading space, right? Just an area that separates the two halves of Stonebridge.
You there. You could use a better weapon. I can fold steel, craft a flintlock, or make whatever exotic weapon you desire.
Trying to think of the most exotic weapon. I don't know. Alright, so buy. So we have a bunch of weapons. All this cool stuff. And I don't know if I see any gold items. Oh, there's one. Wanderer's Bodyguard. I'm not going to buy that, though. We don't have very much. Sell. Okay, we'll sell... See, this is why I want Lucas, because he has a ton of stuff that I'm not using. Trousers, Tesseract, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Alright, so...
Yesterday I swallowed parchment and chalk. Later today I'll have a complete map of my digestive system.
I don't think that's how that works. I mean, maybe it does, though. I know nothing about a goblin's digestive system, you know? Alright, so...
This place is oddly quiet, with all our machines shut down. I wonder what's going on in the foundry.
A lot of nothing, maybe. Welcome to the Meister Hall. No loitering, picketing, or protesting, please.
Free the Krug! Free the Krug!
Free the Krug!
Free the Krug.
Free the Krug!
Free
the Krug! Free the Krug!
Free
the Krug!
Free the Krug.
Rejoice! The Meisters have concluded their session and the hall is now open to the rabble. Apologies. The preferred term is public.
That's correct. I refuse to be called rabble.
Ah, half a minute there. You came from the Chapterhouse, did you not? Tell me, is it true? Has the Legion returned?
Yes, it's true. I could say who's asking, but that sounds a little bit more smartass. And, you know, we're proud of who we are.
Only a few of us. But yes, we've reclaimed the old Chapterhouse.
Ha! Let them laugh at me now! Meister Wolf, with his silly dreams of radiant children and prophecies of the Legion's return.
Oh, really?
You had a dream of a golden-haired child? A boy?
Precisely so. Not a fortnight past. I dreamt that I saw a golden-haired boy standing at my bedside. He bade me get up and follow him.
I'll say go on.
Tell me the rest of your dream.
The boy led me through the city square, then up to the Chapterhouse gate. Only, it wasn't dark and abandoned, as it's been for so long. It was clean and bright. Lion banners snapping in the breeze. Gates open wide, as if expecting the Legion's return. Then I awoke, and there I was, standing in my underclothes, in the middle of the street, gawking at the ruins of the Chapterhouse. A child's idea of a joke, I dare say. Still, I knew it was more than a dream.
You saw the Radiant Youth? Are you descended from the Legion?
Wish I were, but no. My father was a merchant, and his father as well. If I'd had any Legion blood, I dare say I'd have been killed with the rest of them 30 years back.
Probably so.
Are any Legionnaires still living in Stonebridge?
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid not. Jane and her mobs were quite thorough. That whole affair was a mark of shame upon our city. Be assured that I took no part in that travesty, nor did my father, or anyone else who bears the name Wolf.
Well, that's good to know.
I'm here to address the Meisters. We want to propose an alliance against Jane Cassinder.
An alliance? That'll be tricky business. I can force them to give you a hearing, at least. I'll warn you, though, they're scared. Scared of Jane Cassinder and her armies. Scared that we'll lose our republic if she takes the city by force. And scared of other things, too.
The Meisters are scared of something else. Something inside the city?
No, forget I spoke of it. The other Meisters will know you've been talking to mad old Wolf with his secrets and conspiracies, and that won't win you any friends on the council.
Well, we're here, so let's try at least.
I'm ready to address the Meisters.
Capital! I shall go on ahead and announce you. We'll await you inside.
Alright, so we have 1 out of 3 Meister support. That's kind of odd. It's not actually odd, but, you know. Except Wolf is one of the Meisters. That's what... They're not very specific about that, but that's the case. I mean, we'll learn here in, like, 2 seconds. I just want to finish rubbing against all these tables. See, here you go. Here's a book. Stonebridge is governed by the Council of Meisters, who are elected from among the leading citizens of the town. Each Meister holds a major city office: mayor, first constable, chief barrister, master of the college, and spokesman for the guilds. The Meisters administer all state functions, though in practice these are few in number. The Stonebridge government is strictly... I cannot remember how to pronounce this at all. Laissez-faire, preferring to keep taxes low and laws few while encouraging individual enterprise. Stonebridge territory includes the town proper and the rich farmlands to the south, which once fed most of western Ebb. The city is a free republic, and it owes no allegiance to any external power. Neither the former monarchy of Ebb nor the Asnite Church has any authority within the bounds of the city. Yep, you can bet your ass if Jane Cassinder occupies the city, it's not gonna be a republic anymore. You can bet your behind.
Welcome to the Stonebridge jail. Do you have business with the incarcerated?
Isn't running a jail a bit complicated for an automaton?
I apologize, but I was not designed to answer questions of a remedial nature. I repeat, do you have business with the incarcerated?
Not
at the moment. I should be going.
Wasting the time of Stonebridge constables is not presently a jailable offense. But this policy is subject to change without prior notice. Good day.
Fair enough.
Welcome to the Stonebridge jail. Do you...
Not at the moment.
Okay, so if you check on the thing... Oh, this one's open. Sort of. Behind this barred door is the notorious Dead Man's Cell. Only the most infamous criminals are imprisoned here, and only after they have been sentenced to death. The last occupant of the cell was the goblin Nibbletack, the so-called Kitten Ripper, who tried to single-handedly solve the problem of the much-loved feral cats that once filled the streets of Stonebridge. That's bad. That's bad. No Kitten Ripper. He's a bad man. Goblin, whatever. We love cats. The internet loves cats. But he's dead now, so it's all good. I'm going the right way, aren't I? Yeah.
Gentlemen and goblins, order! Council recognizes the envoy from the 10th Legion.
Meister Wolf tells us that you propose an alliance. A grave matter indeed. Perhaps our colleague forgot to emphasize how deeply we value our neutrality.
A war with Jane Cassinder would risk the very life of our Republic. What do we gain by siding with the Legion?
So I could say you owe the Legion, will reunite the country, or you need allies. I know one of these is an influence gain, but I don't remember which one it is. I'm going to say you need allies because it's the least asshole-ish of them.
The Royal Army is destroyed. It's only a matter of time before Jane Cassinder turns against you. Let us help protect your city.
A fair point. We are reasonable fellows, and we know that Jane Cassinder looks upon Stonebridge with covetous eyes. Nonetheless, you can understand why some in the city might fear the Legion's return.
Countless Legionnaires were murdered in our streets. People might think that you've come to seek revenge.
Why so worried? Justice or the past is forgiven. So obviously the previous answer was not the one for Anjali. Whatever. Why worried? Well, yeah. Obviously that's why, because countless Legionnaires were murdered. We only want justice. I mean, we'll say the past is forgiven.
Forget the past. Those murders are 30 years gone. We came here to reconcile, not for revenge.
Words alone are unlikely to sway our good citizens. Perhaps if we form a committee, study the problem for several months or a year.
Nonsense! The Legion is no threat. There's far more dangerous things in this city, if you would only open your eyes.
Ah, our colleague again speaks of the dapper old gent, no doubt.
Indeed, sir, I do. You think that the trouble in the Foundry is not the work of the gent?
Wolf, you didn't say anything about the Foundry before.
Bad business. The Foundry supplies power to all of Stonebridge, but now it's gone silent, and no one knows why.
Meister Wolf, let us not turn aside from the matter at hand. We owe the Legion our vote.
No, wait. That hardly seems fair. Force a vote now, and it will assuredly go against the Legion. I propose a recess. Let us each speak privately to the Legionnaires, so that we can reach an informed and impartial judgment.
And maybe bribery can occur.
How many votes do I need to win your support?
A simple majority will suffice. 3 of 5 votes cast in the Legion's favor. Council declares a recess. We shall reconvene after the Legion envoy has spoken to each of my esteemed colleagues, and all are prepared to render a judgment.
There you go. So that's why we have 1 out of 3 needed, because Meister Wolf is one of them.
Ah, the envoy from the Legion. Is there something else you need?
What can we do to win your vote? An alliance will benefit us both.
There's that word again. Alliance. You won't think ill of me, I hope, if I express a certain degree of concern. But I shall respect the wishes of the other Meisters. If you can convince my colleagues to take your side, I shall vote in your favor as well.
So it's kind of meaningless. He'll go with whatever the winning side is. If you can get 3 other people, like he won't be the deciding vote, but he'll be the 4th.
You were elected to lead the city?
By a popular vote of almost 70%. Not counting the automatons, of course. Our mayor is elected from among the Meisters, the leading citizens of the town. It's a far better system than we used to have. We put an end to all that autocratic nonsense not long after the Old Kingdom collapsed. Our city has been a free republic for the past 30 years.
I won't take any more of your time. Good day.
Indeed, and a good day to you as well.
New objective, talk to Mudgutter, so each of them have a quest. Basically. And we will, but first we need to run around and check these bookshelves. The Rise of the Meisters. After the infamous Tomcat Rebellion, so named because the symbol for the Ketzler family had been a bristling tomcat, the people of Stonebridge declared another day of celebration, and joyful drinking and debauchery ensued. Reynold Castle, who had coordinated the city's defense, met with the town's guildmasters and merchant lords, whatever. I'll pluralize it if I want. And they revised the town's charter to their liking. Henceforward, Stonebridge would be ruled by a council of its most prominent citizens, the Meisters of Stonebridge. More importantly, Stonebridge was declared a free and independent republic. That's a period, not a comma. Reynold Castle became the first mayor of the city under the new regime. Since the Meisters took power, technology has advanced at a rapid pace, and the city's fortunes have improved. Stonebridge has remained stubbornly neutral in the war between the royal princes and Jane Cassinder, forbidding either side to trespass on their territory. Perhaps the only significant trouble has been the rise of an elusive criminal mastermind, the dapper old gent, who has confounded the city authorities for the better part of 30 years. Well, perhaps he's not real. I thought this book was something, but maybe not. Stonebridge, the early years. Founded centuries ago by a shrewd imperial trader, Stonebridge was first settled by craftsmen and merchants of Versk descent. They gave the town its industrious, mercantile spirit, and their quaint, half-timbered houses are still common throughout Stonebridge. When Ebb became an independent kingdom, Stonebridge was granted a town charter, as well as autonomy from noble rule. The townsfolk were governed by an elected mayor and a council of guildmasters instead of a noble lord. Stonebridge suffered terribly during the Sec Resurgence, but the city recovered with remarkable speed. Under the leadership of Mayor Rupert Ketzler, Stonebridge became the first city to invite goblins to settle within its limits. The goblins brought considerable wealth and technology, and Stonebridge enjoyed a long period of prosperity, becoming the largest and wealthiest city in Neb. The office of Lord Mayor would remain in the Ketzler family for over a century, passed from father to son through 5 generations. Despite their unapologetic greed, the Ketzlers presided over a golden age in Stonebridge, popularly known as the Goblin Renaissance. And let's see if we can do clockwise, because I believe each of these have a lore entry. Battle of Midsummer's Eve. Elsa Tobelman's mercenaries came riding into the city square at midnight on the evening of the Midsummer Feast. Young Thomas Ketzler, the former mayor, rode at their head, bearing the Tomcat banner of his forefathers. The rebels assumed they would find a mass of drunken revelers too exhausted to put up a fight. Instead, the drunken revelers rose to their feet, brandishing swords, and from side streets, phalanxes of goblins appeared, bristling with muskets and enormous firecrackers. Goblin rockets swooped in all directions, bursting over the heads of the mercenaries, sending them diving for cover. Poor Thomas Ketzler fell off his horse, which spooked and fled, dragging the young man by one foot, shedding bits of armor as he bounced from one cobble to the next. His mercenaries took this as a signal to retreat, and they fled in wild disarray. The people of Stonebridge broke into a merry pursuit, chasing the rebels halfway to Wesrin Cross before collapsing into exhausted heaps and issuing a series of ragged cheers. Neither Thomas Ketzler nor his mother, Elsa Tobelman, were ever seen in Stonebridge again. That is volume 4. So we've read 1 and 5, and now 4. They don't, well, you know. The fall of the Legion in Stonebridge. The last of the Ketzler mayors was Tomas, elected at age 14 after the accidental death of his father. By that time, the office of Lord Mayor had become a hereditary affair. No one questioned the election of a mere lad, and a tiny girlish one at that, as long as he was a Ketzler. Besides, he had his mother and his 3 aunts to look after him, and they were... Okay, so it's a period, not a comma, and then starting a sentence with the word "and." I believe that's a faux pas. And they were the Tobelman sisters, the richest and prettiest young women in Stonebridge. Then the king of Ebb was slain, and suspicious eyes were cast upon the Legion. The Tobleman sisters looked at the wealthy chapterhouse and saw the riches that could be theirs, so they began to speak openly against the Legion, casting doubt and suspicion in the people's minds. And when Jane Cassinder arrived in Stonebridge, the Tobleman sisters were waiting with a mob of townsfolk behind them. The mob surged into the city square and fell upon the Legionnaires, while others, including the Toblemans, racked and looted the chapterhouse. By day's end, all the Legionnaires were dead, and the townspeople were faced with the horror they had wrought. The Tomcat Rebellion. After the fall of the Legion, a sense of guilt fell over the city. The people were ashamed at what they had done, and they had no more patience for the young mayor, Thomas Ketzler, or for his mother, Elsa Tobleman, who had helped rouse the city against the Legion. The people assembled in the city square and voted Thomas Ketzler out of office. For the first time, a Ketzler had lost the office of mayor in over 100 years. But Thomas's mother would not give up power so easily. With the right friends, Elsa knew she could take the city back. She sent a letter to the royal princes, knowing they were planning war against Jane Cassinder and they were desperate for allies. She offered her city support if the princes would help her retake control of Stonebridge. But her letter was intercepted and a copy found its way onto the desk of Reynold Castle, guildmaster of ironmongers. To this day, no one knows who intercepted the letter or how they did it. The letter revealed that Elsa Tobleman planned to stage a coup against the city on the evening of the Midsummer Feast, so the people decided to stage a surprise of their own. And that's the story. Alright, so before I do this stuff, I'm gonna walk out here and see if I can talk to him.
You'll have my vote. It's the others who will need convincing.
Can you tell me anything about the other Meisters? Anything that might help me convince them?
Meister Grimmelhaus, the mayor, he'll vote with the majority. Always does. So it comes down to the other three. Castle, Mudgutter, and Fiddlewick.
Can you tell me anything about Meister Castle?
He's a hard-bitten man. Likes nothing so much as sweat on a workman's brow. Castle is the guild master of ironmongers. The most powerful guild in Stonebridge, I dare say. They maintain the great foundry beneath the city streets.
Mudgutter can't be very pleasant with a name like that.
Not pleasant as such. Mudgutter is a goblin, after all, and a barrister on top of that. But one can admire his efficiency. Pass a contract before his eyes, and he will remember every clause, no matter how tiny the print. Above all else, he reveres the law, and I cannot fault him for that.
Fiddlewick is an odd name. What's he like?
A soft-hearted little fellow, always arguing with Castle over some question of wages or social class. Fiddlewick is master of the college, so he has a permanent seat on the council. And he's a goblin, of course, hence the name.
Thanks. That's all I needed to know.
No trouble at all. Honored to be of service to the Legion.
During the council meeting, you said something about the dapper old gent.
Understand, what I tell you now must be held in the strictest confidence. For a great many years, Stonebridge has been haunted by a most elusive villain. He appears out of thin air, wherever and whenever he likes. Confounds my constables at every turn. Even the automatons, mind you.
Does this man have a proper name?
Only a few witnesses have seen him, but they all say that he's exquisitely dressed, an elderly gentleman of quality. Someone started calling him the Dapper Old Gent. The name stuck.
That's such a great name. Like a well-dressed old man. That's so great.
What crimes has he committed?
Theft, sabotage, wanton destruction of city property. Lately, his schemes have taken a sinister turn. Less thieving and more mayhem. Almost as if he hates Stonebridge and all its people. All the scoundrels of the city worship him. They serve him as eyes and ears.
You employ automatons as town constables?
Indeed. They're disciplined, tireless, and they follow orders without question. Far better than the lazy lugs that we used to employ. When I finally won the first constable's chair, I sacked a lot of them. Ah!
Works for me.
Enough about the gent for now.
Right. Something else you need?
We'll talk again later.
Capital. I'll look forward to it.
So, oh, that's the wrong way. So I'm trying... I don't remember if... Free the Krug. Okay, I had thought...
Free the Krug! Free the Krug!
Free the Krug!
Free the Krug! Free the Krug!
Free the Krug!
Free the Krug. I know we meet them in here, but I don't know if it's now or perhaps later. We'll save here. And then, maybe once we talk to all the Meisters, maybe that's when they show up. I don't quite remember. But I've saved. So I might have to look up that influence gain thing, because I feel like I've missed a bunch of opportunities. But, you know, I mean, if that happens, that's what happens. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for your time and attention. I really do appreciate it. I really hope you're enjoying these episodes. It is definitely an older game, but I think it still holds up, to be quite honest. So what is your guys' unique positive moment for today? For me, I was actually able to talk to one of my best friends. And yeah, so it's been a while, so it was nice to talk to him. That's my unique positive moment. Hopefully your guys is just good, if not better. Hopefully better, of course. And I hope to see you guys next time. Until then, guys, take care.